in the 7th week of development is kind of where they're both like present and sitting there. So this is week 7. I mentioned the Sry region earlier. I told you I would get back to it. So it's a gene that exists on the Y chromosome normally. And it makes a protein called the TDF, or the testes determining factor. And what this does is it just says, hey body, make a penis. That's what it does. So it's one of those transcription factors. It leads to another transcription factor, which basically what it does is it tells the Müllerian structures, so the ones that have the possibility to become female structures, it tells them to stop developing, so then they die off. And that it also, there's like several different mechanisms, but it basically starts making testosterone, dihydrotestosterone, which is like testosterone but more potent, and a couple other things, and then that makes it finish making the Wolffian structures, which is your male structures. So that's what that region does. The SRY region on your Y chromosome. So that is why generally if you see a Y chromosome, you can assume it's a male.
So what exactly, just for the terminology's sake, what's the relationship between SRY and TDF?
Yeah, so the SRY is like the physical gene, the part of the DNA, the code, and the TDF is the protein that's created by interpreting that DNA. Ah,
I see. Thank you.
Genetics has like an obscene amount of nomenclature. So if you don't have that TDF present, the protein present, then there are also other processes to like promote female development, but they're not as well understood. There's a couple of reasons for this. One of them is that doing experiments in human embryos is not a thing that we can do. It's incredibly unethical. Like you can't just like make a test tube baby and then grow it up for 8 weeks and then just kill it when you're done. Or the other thing, or like make one and then delete a specific gene and then see how it develops wrong. Like that's just not a thing we can do with humans.
So can I ask you another question then?
Yeah, sure.
You did mention like hormones affecting growth and transcription factors and stuff. What about like HGH and, anabolic steroids and that kind of, does that affect?
If you are pregnant and you're taking anabolic steroids, yes, that will definitely affect the sex development, because
do you know
what
roughly
it will
what
do,
kind of effect we could expect from it? Like, does it trigger certain things?
It will. If you're taking like a lot, you might like seriously mess up the sex development. But if you're like more accidentally exposed or just a little bit, then you might just get what we refer to as ambiguous genitalia. So they'll still
like a clitoris and testicles kind of thing.
Like a like just a huge clitoris basically, and you might get some like closing, but like that it might just be like minor if it's only a little bit, and they might still like be fertile and just develop normally as a woman, just from some exposure. Another point to note here is that 50% of pregnancies, at least the statistics that I heard from this, are unplanned. So it's very possible that if a woman was like using anabolic steroids and became pregnant and then didn't know about it until like a month or 2 in, that is definitely a possibility. Also, a sad fact is that the most, like, using alcohol is most devastating in like close to day 20. I want to say day 18 to 21, something like that, of like gestational age. So it's which
when
is again
still might
in that first month. So yeah, they might not know they're pregnant. So I guess my message to everyone here is use contraception. If you're worried, use more than one type of contraception. And if you're worried, don't drink alcohol until you know for sure. Get a pregnancy test, figure it out. Like do your best. It might still happen.
Be a responsible human being.
But yeah, no, but like it might still happen, but just try to be as responsible as you can. There's lots of options for contraception, not just the pill. So I don't know how I came onto this topic, but
Hey, it's worth noting. So I'm
um,
glad you mentioned it.
yeah, like there's more than just pill. There's injections. There's like intrauterine devices. Because a lot of people are bothered by hormones, so you get like a copper IUD as well, which has no hormones in it at all. A lot of women
And
prefer that sort of thing.
condoms are still tried and tested for the most part, right?
Condoms are still
Condoms?
good. They are honestly there's data that's like less good, but I think there's human error inputted into some of these things.
Yeah.
So
People aren't the smartest,
do
especially
it
in the
properly.
They do have expiry dates.
Yes, that's a good one to note. And like always test them and make sure, check the expiry date.
Make sure they're the right size.
Don't use 2 at once.
Yes, the right size always helps. And don't use 2 at once.
Yeah, don't just buy the biggest size to impress people. They're gonna see it anyway, so they're gonna know.
Yeah, this is definitely the right size of condom. Hold on, let me get this open.
Quadruple XL, like no, buddy.
So, yeah.
So just very obscene side note about that.
Reproductive health is super important, and I don't think enough people talk about it, just for the record. So I'm glad you brought it up.
I completely agree with you. There's lots, and I've heard a lot of stories of women that have like a lot of issues with like their period, like they're just like super depressed, or they have lots of bleeding, lots of pain. And like we talked a lot about that in my pharmacy school. So a lot of people are like aware, and I think things are starting to change for the better instead of just being like, "Ha, you're on your period, sucks to be you." Bye. Like we're starting to like learn a little bit more about how to treat like not even just like more serious things like endometriosis, PCOS, that sort of thing, but like just I bleed a lot or I have a lot of pain, and sometimes
knowing what's more than normal and less than normal helps you treat.
Though what they tell us is normal is like kind of obscene. There's a lot. I think women's health is getting better for sure, and I think it will continue to get better. And I think also like as healthcare gets like slowly overtaken by women, something I've definitely noticed in pharmacy is that like there's a lot more male pharmacists like 20-30 years ago. Now my class is like probably 2/3 female, maybe a little more,